Right on time. Everybody remember to turn your phone off or on silent, please. Okay, the first team will be Pike County Central High School. Guys, if y'all come on up on stage, if you would, please. So if you would, y'all have 3 microphones here. We'd like for you to stand back, all of you, and whoever's going to speak, step into the microphone area, and then step back. But still, because you have a microphone, you still need to project with it, okay? And so you need to space out to where 4 of you. Okay, so when everybody's ready, I'll let you know. You start doing 10 minutes. And then you get the 3 minutes and 1 minute notes. Okay? Any questions? You're not set up for that yet?
Hey guys, how's everybody doing this morning? You good? Okay. I would like to share a story with y'all that's very important to us of why we created this project. So, there was a retired veteran in our community, and we see him every day at school. He would tell all 4 of us about every experience that he has had at every Veteran Affairs clinic and hospital near us. Every time that he went to the Prestonsburg Clinic, he would receive a different doctor, resulting in a repetition of his unique medical history. One time, he was referred from his doctor from the Prestonsburg Clinic to go to the Norton VA hospital for a procedure they couldn't even do. This resulted into traveling many miles to go to this VA hospital. Not only was he had to travel a far distance to go to this hospital, but he was overpriced and overbilled for something that he didn't even want. He needed this procedure. Even so, their behavior towards him was just devastating. Not only was he overbilled, but he was treated unfairly. This is important to us because we are a Purple Star school who interact with veterans every single day. We are JRH, Veteran Affairs Clinic and Hospital. I'm Ashton Ramey.
I'm Jonathan Hunt.
I'm Drew Justice.
Ethan Justice.
Let's
To
begin.
us, it is shocking that we lack proper care for our veterans in Eastern Kentucky. The closest form of health care for veterans is the Prestonsburg VA Clinic, which is often packed, leaving veterans to wait hours for treatment. Not only do the veterans wait, but their doctors are often moving to other locations such as Lexington and Huntington, which are both over 100 miles away with a 2-hour drive.
Our proposal is to create a VA clinic in Pikeville. In Pike County, there are 2,500 veterans that this would be their closest place to receive health care. This project will originally cost around $1 to $2 million for the clinic, and it will be funded by U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs grants, local church donations, and fundraising from our Purple Star School. Our 5-year plan is to be self-sustaining enough to become a hospital in which we can reach thousands of more veterans. The outcome of our hospital would be to reach people in Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky because it would be their closest hospital to them. The hospital would also create jobs such as janitors, doctors, receptionists, and hundreds of others that would reduce the unemployment rates in our area. This would also help our local economy to be improved.
We built a website that the community will be able to use alongside with the VA hospital. This website will allow patients to do many things. For example, patients will be able to reschedule and schedule appointments, and they'll be able to get feedback and learn about the hospital itself. This feedback will allow us to hear directly from our community, which in return tells us what we can improve on. This feedback will also help us against our competition.
All right. Here's the opening page. This is just a little bit about us and what our motive is. From left to right, Ethan Justice, Jonathan Hunt, Ashton Ramey, and Drew Justice. This is our services. We provide services such as inpatient and outpatient care for our veterans, such as refilling prescriptions, scheduling or rescheduling appointments, viewing medical bills, and allowing our patients to provide feedback on our hospital. Why choose us? We are a local community-driven Veterans Affairs clinic. Our motive is to provide our veterans with the utmost care that they need. We want the feedback from our veterans to help improve our clinic, to know what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. To schedule an appointment, just click here. From here, it'll bring you to a Google form. To give us the full legal name, phone number, date of birth, when do you want to schedule it, what time, what doctor, and is it in-person or out-person? To reschedule, just click here. All right. To provide feedback, just click here. This will allow us to see what we can improve on, how your visit was today, how helpful was our staff, what can we improve on, how would you rank your experience, why do we care about feedback? Like I said, it is important to us because we want to see our strengths, our weaknesses, by seeing what we can improve on and what we can do better. The future investments into our company, future features. Once we have gained enough habilitation to be able to have this hospital, we plan to implement a system to be able to view medical bills and to be able to refill prescriptions digitally. Being able to view medical bills is very crucial because it allows our patients to see what they are being billed and also correctly to be billed, because we do not want to bill people wrongly. And if you want to help us, just donate to our cause and contact us. And here's our emails, phone numbers, and our names. Thank you, guys.
In conclusion, not only does this benefit the economy, but also our veterans and their families. By limiting the distance they have to travel, by taking their feedback, we can give our local veterans the treatment that they deserve.
Jared, we'll start there, move this way, and then we'll start, we've got time left, so Kathy, can move some time. And what we, so, about 17 minutes is wrong with their dialogue. Okay.
So just a couple questions about the structure, organization of the actual.
I'm sorry. Betsy Lane. If y'all will go over here to that area, and Mrs. Sowers will go over your presentation with you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
You know, perfection is boring. You'll not be bored with me. Sorry, fellas.
You're fine.
I'm stubborn trying to keep it going.
First of all, I'd like to say before we get into kind of questions, I think you've definitely hit on something that, from a community regional, like is a real need, and I think you've made a great effort toward a solution. But would like to just understand a little bit more about the structure of the business. Looking for donations, is it a nonprofit? Is it a for-profit? Or the other clinics that exist, are those part of the VA administration? In other words, are they government offices, or do they contract with other people to provide these services? Just, I think that's my first question.
The hospital would be for-profit, and there are some hospitals in the U.S. that are government-owned, but there are a lot that are contracted outside.
So just to follow up on what he said, so their clinics themselves, are some of those contracted as well, or are they all part of the VA administration?
I'd say most of them are contracted outside of VA. The government supports a lot of them, like they give grants to them, but they're mainly outside of the government.
Were you able to talk to veterans or talk to staff members at some of the other clinics, doctors or staff people, to, get quotes or to ask about specific issues that you were considering?
It was more of the veterans at our school that had told us, because we directly asked them about what they thought about these VA hospitals and these clinics, and they just told us these same amount of issues. Every time that I would come up to a different veteran, they would just tell me the same exact thing, saying that it's always overfilled, it's always a different doctor, it's hard to get in there, and I think that is something we just really want to improve on as a Veteran Affairs clinic. Thank you.
I just want to recognize that you all are a bunch of fine young men to recognize this need at your age in the community. One of the questions that I have that I feel is common for this area in Kentucky is the ability to attract and retain qualified professionals to care for these patients in need. So what's your strategy to encourage people to want to be here to care for them so they're not having a different doctor every time they come into your clinic?
I think we could maybe do something like PMC does, where we fund people's education so that they may want to be a part of our hospital and work there and continue to work there after we pay for their education.
Well, wow, fellas, that was terrific. You described the relevance of your plan clearly at the very beginning, which I appreciated. You connected it to something that's real for you, and you had that nice emotional pull that brought me in right away, and that was fabulous. Do you know how many veterans are in the area that may demand this type of service? You made the case for the drive, but I'm curious about the demand that you see outside of the people you know personally.
Are you talking about like the number of people that are in the area that this is their closest like hospital?
Or the number of veterans who would be interested in accessing the clinic?
Well, I would like to think that as this is a lot closer to many VA clinics and the fact that the other one is very overfilled, that the 2,500 veterans in Pike County would want to travel less, and with our polls that we get feedback, we can keep them there, like they'll want to come back.
Okay, so 2,500 in Pike County,
Yeah.
and then numbers from so I think you did say that and I missed that.
Yeah.
And then surrounding counties, you're thinking they would come in from surrounding counties as well?
Yeah. There's about 125,000 that this would be like their closest area. And that's from like Virginia, parts of it, and West Virginia, and then like Eastern Kentucky.
Would you need to set up the clinic before winning a contract with the Veterans Administration?
I would say that it would definitely help to set up a clinic, but there are some grants that will fund it immediately if we put it in, like if we put in like a request. But there's some that you have to be like established for a certain period of time in order to receive the grant, so that they know that it's running right and everything. So we'll gain more as we keep going.
Okay. Last question. Have you considered a startup project that would get you to your long-term goal over time? So as an example, a Sunday clinic where you could pull on the expertise from the hospitals and the doctor's offices in the area, and veterans would know that on Sundays it's a time for them to come to X, Y, and Z place to get care that's dedicated to them, and scaffold toward a clinic over the long term. Maybe something to think about.
Yeah, we haven't thought about it yet, but I do like the idea a lot.
Okay, all right. There's a startup, or not a startup, but a nonprofit in Lexington called Surgery on Sunday, which provides surgery for people who can't afford or don't have the health insurance to cover surgery. And local surgeons come in on Sundays to provide that surgery. So that may be a model for you all if you want to get something started.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great job.
Hello? All right. Good job. Sounds like you've spent a lot of time looking at the numbers. I'm curious, when you're looking at the travel range for these folks, are the clinics that are kind of like going in the opposite direction of here, like do you have numbers on distance traveled or anything like that?
Yes, I believe we do.
The majority of all clinics, and even including hospitals, besides Prestonsburg, are, as you can see right there, they're like about 100 miles away, such as Huntington and Lexington. And besides that, really the closest one is Johnson City, if we're talking about hospitals. But clinics, there's multiple, but like none in the close proximity of Pike County.
Have you spent any time looking at Department of Veteran Affairs and understanding like why there isn't a clinic somewhere in the central sort of circle you've got created here? Because it sounds like they place clinics based on, need and population density. So curious.
Well, in Pike County, which is the center of the circle, it basically, the circle that you're speaking of, it just rules out Pike County and it puts it in the population dense, like you said. But people in Pike County would also have to travel to such as like Hazard and Prestonsburg and other places when they could just, drive right down the road and take care, because people hate traveling like over an hour to go to a doctor's appointment and then just right back home, you know.
And then last thing, just looking at your tech, thinking about the opportunity there might be to create those like efficiency solutions, right, for these pathways for these folks, and if it might be easier to create a tool that helps with patients' kind of journey being consistent through these clinics, versus standing up a new clinic and a hospital and these kind of services. What a tech solution like that could apply to the existing market, maybe be more scalable, and drive at the solution you guys are after. Have you thought about that more so than the forms you've got on the website?
We've thought about it, but the way these clinics are kind of organized are more random than by need. They're kind of like brought up in like an area of need, but they're not like thought out of like by location. We need to put one right here. It's just they more just develop. And Pike County is an area that is overlooked in terms of VA care.
Mm-hmm.
So we feel that the best option for Pike County would be to place a clinic in a hospital instead of like something online or something. What were you saying to put? I forgot.
Yeah, I'll simplify it. And it's really just like a food for thought kind of thing, right? Like it might be that there's an opportunity to create a software solution for existing clinics to better manage their patient journey. So you started with like your key problem is from this veteran's perspective, they're having to repeat their medical journey and history to physician after physician after physician. They're getting the wrong care here. So there's a lack of clarity in that patient's information and what's available to the doctors, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the problem you've touched on right there is the critical thing in my mind. So a solution to that might have more economic opportunity, than just a new clinic in an area where there's a gap in the market, because that could address a problem that applies to the clinics across the nation. So anyway, you don't have to, that's not really a question per se, it's just food for thought.
Thank you.
I can do one more. I was just wondering if you looked at all on what like the revenue kind of looks like around a patient. Do they come in annually, like one time a year, 2 times a year for a checkup? What that reimbursement kind of looks like? The funds that it takes to operate a clinic. Did you look at it from that kind of like business perspective?
VA clinics usually make, like if it's for profit, they'll make close to like $200,000 a year, and it costs a good bit to run. But after the profit comes in and they pay everything out, which is about like $500,000 to run, and that we're wanting to get donations as well so we can keep building onto the clinic after, so that way it keeps growing. But I think that, what was the question
I think you answered it. It sounds like
Okay.
money comes in more of an overall operational kind of way with these grants,
Yeah.
and it's not so much on patient reimbursement. You're just going to have like an overall annual fund to kind of like operate and serve people from, is what this sounds like. So
Yeah.
I guess that's how it works.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.